and welcome to Viewpoint on Ukraine today. My name is Sam Kearley and right now I am joined by Volodymyr Ohryzko, the former Foreign Minister of Ukraine. Volodymyr, thank you very much for joining us.
It's my pleasure to be with you.
So a few thousand kilometres to our west, there is, in Paris, the Global Climate Change Summit is taking place. Now, there are some 200 nations represented there, and they will be working to make an agreement by 2030 to limit climate change beyond that point. Now, what I would like to speak with you about is really what is going on there behind the scenes. So, US President Barack Obama, over the recent 2 or 3 months, has really been acting like a snake charmer with Vladimir Putin. We saw first at the UN General Assembly on the 29th of September, they had a private chit-chat. Again at the G20 in Turkey, they again had a quiet coffee, and now in Paris. So can you tell us, Volodymyr, what are they talking about?
Thank you very much for this very important question, because really it is absolutely necessary to discuss all these issues in so to say, in common in general. But first I would tell you probably something about the conferences like this as well. It is very important when more than 150 or even more leaders are coming together to discuss very acute global problems. And it was the case in Paris this time, because we are really facing now a very big global challenge. If we will continue only to speak, if we will continue only to make declarations, in a couple of decades our kids will face dramatic challenges for their future and for the whole mankind.
You're talking about dramatic challenges aside from climate change.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what is very important, and what I believe it will be promote the discussion, was the readiness of many political leaders of the world really to start thinking about practical steps.
To combat Islamic State.
First, it was about the climate challenges, and another point was about other issues. And this second point, you have rightly pointed out, is very important because a conference like this creates very good opportunity to the leaders to discuss other very important issues which are on the global agenda. And in this sense, this fight against Islamic State was probably point number one. You have mentioned that some presidents have very dynamic talks discussing this issue. I mean, President Obama and President Putin, for example, not only both leaders, but also Chancellor Merkel was involved, President of France Hollande was involved, etc., etc. The point is very simple. How to combine efforts to really create instruments how to defeat this threat for the civilized world.
So now it would appear that Obama and Putin have a common enemy, and they are together looking to overcome that enemy by these private talks.
It is not so easy as it looks like. Look, we are all fighting against ISIS. We are all trying to combine our efforts to say to the rest of the world that terrorists is something which is not acceptable at all. But on the other hand, how can we involve other terrorists to fight against ISIS? What in my view, is a very big challenge for all of us, is an attempt of, say, President Hollande to involve Russia to fight against ISIS. What does it mean in practice? It means that we are trying to use Russia as an aggressor state, as a state of which is, practically speaking, supporting terrorists who are fighting against Ukrainian state.
So it's supporting terrorists in Ukraine?
To fight against other terrorists. Look, if we will analyze the history, we'll see that these examples are very dangerous, because in a couple of years, and we can easily find examples, for example, in...
Of course, so what should Western leaders be doing then if they should not be partnering with Russia? What do you see as the way forward?
I do believe that we Ukrainians should explain to Western leaders very simple, so to say, issue. If you would like to fight ISIS, you should really unite democratic countries. You should unite civilized world in combating this threat, but not using other terrorists for that very noble purpose. In other words, let us be really pragmatic in doing a very important policy. Let us not forget about the fact that Russian Federation is, for the time being, unfortunately, not the adequate partner for the civilized war to fight against terrorists.
So the leaders of Western nations are not stupid. I mean, anyone with an objective point of view is able to clearly see that Russia have been funding terrorists in eastern Ukraine. So why have the leaders, some Western leaders like Hollande, gone down this route?
Look, I can understand the Hollande's position, because he should, frankly speaking, show to the French population that he is doing something. Some Western countries are a little bit reluctant. Look, Americans...
France have their own army.
Yeah, Americans think whether it is necessary to send troops to Syria. Only Germans announced yesterday or the day before yesterday that they are considering to send a very limited contingent of soldiers to Syria. As far as I know, government in London is also considering also to send some troops to. But Hollande needs some very practical and very quick steps.
And Russia is the quick fix.
In that respect, what Putin is supporting is very important for him. He can use it as explanation for all French population that, look, I am doing something, okay, with Russia, with Putin, but nevertheless we are fighting against this threat we are facing in France, in Paris.
Some would argue, though, that Putin previously has not been targeting Islamic State in Syria. He's been targeting often or sometimes American-trained anti-Assad forces.
In this sense, we should also probably to explain our Western colleagues that the main purpose of Putin is very simple: to create in Syria a military base of the Russian Federation. And you have probably read about the plans of Putin to establish already the third military base on Syrian soil. If the West will allow to go ahead, probably in a couple of months we will have 5, 10 or 15. Okay. So let us be very clear in our assessments. Putin is trying to create in the Middle East very huge military presence. And this is the first purpose. The next is to support Assad, who is also absolutely understandable terrorist, who is leading terrorist regime. The victims of this regime are more than 280,000 people of Syria.
Civilian population.
And we are talking, I mean civilized world, talking that probably Putin is right. Let's Assad be in power for another 6 or 9 or 10 months.
Mr. Ohryzko, we're running very short on time, and there is just one more question I would like to ask you. If we return to Paris and we look at the climate change conference, yesterday, Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko likened Islamic State's attacks in Paris on November 13th to Russia's terrorist activities in East Ukraine. Can you tell us, was he right to do this? Because it has sparked some quite considerable controversy.
Look, I do believe President Poroshenko is absolutely right, because if we are talking about terrorism, we should not, so to say, separate them and to say, look, these terrorists are good ones and another one are bad ones.
So the troops in East Ukraine can be likened to Islamic State?
I can tell you that probably and I would repeat it once again, we should understand from the very beginning, if we are willing to defeat this threat, we should do it together against all of them, not separating someone here or someone there. Otherwise, it will be absolutely no chance to have a real victory.
So we should treat terrorism as a global issue, regardless of whether they are Russian-backed separatists in East Ukraine or Islamic State militants in Paris, London, Libya, wherever they may be.
Absolutely, it is a global threat.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Very much.
We could continue this conversation for a lot longer, but unfortunately, we are out of time.
Thank you so much.
You have been watching Viewpoint on Ukraine today, where we have been joined by Volodymyr Ohryzko, the former Foreign Minister of Ukraine. Thank you very much for watching.